Do you get frustrated on trying to figure out family vacations? Do you feel like everyone has their own opinion on what vacation would be best for your family? I know as a busy mom, that precious little time we have with our family, we want to make sure that the vacations are worth it and that the money we spent is worthwhile. In this video, I am going to compare 4 different vacation options to help you decide what is best for your family. And if Disney is one of those places you would like to go, I'm going to show you how to make it affordable so that your family can enjoy the magic. Hi friends, if we haven't met, my name is Ellen and welcome to Making Lemons to Lemonade. On this channel, I share tips and tricks on how to make life just a little easier. To help you decide where you should go on your next vacation, I've come up with sort of a cost analysis of 4 popular areas around where we live that people like to vacation. We live in Virginia, think East Coast. So all of these areas are along the East Coast and in the South. When it comes to the numbers, these numbers aren't meant to be what you're going to spend on your vacation. This is just what our family would spend if we would go to these places, or like I said, we're gonna be comparing it to our upcoming trip that will be in Disney in December. All of the values or the costs that I've figured out are based on a December trip, except for the beach, because we don't go to the beach in December, but we do go in the fall, so still off-season pricing, but again, we'll get to that. Before we get started, I just wanted to share a few details on what a family vacation is to my family. So we're a family of 3. We consist of my husband, myself, and my 3-year-old son. When we've gone on vacations in the past, we've tried different things of staying in a home and cooking ourselves, staying in a condo, a hotel, at a resort. We've just found that we're resort people. We want things to be easy, convenient, different options of things to eat, do, and just be able to relax while we're on vacation. When I'm showing you the various things that we do on vacation, keep in mind that all these locations, you can make the trip cheaper as well as more expensive, just depending on what types of rooms you get, what entertainment you do, and what you do for food. All right, so I have my notes here. Let's go ahead and get started. The first place that I'm going to show you is Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg. I'm going to show you what our trip would consist of just for price analysis and hopefully give you some ideas if this is a place you would like to go. All right, so if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes here. For us to get to Pigeon Forge, again, it's about a little over 2-hour drive. That would cost us, you know, the gas to get there. I'm assuming we get about 20 miles per gallon. I'm gonna just roughly estimate that gas prices will be about $3.50 around that time. So based on that, I budgeted $90 for transportation. That includes getting to Pigeon Forge and back home, as well as having to drive around the area each day because you have to drive to get to the various restaurants or entertainment. The next area that we'll be comparing or looking at is the hotel. So when we go to Pigeon Forge, we've always loved staying at Margaritaville at the island. If you've never been to Pigeon Forge, this area is sort of like a resort in essence. There's a lot of restaurants, shopping, even some entertainment for kids right in this little plaza that they call the island. So we've always enjoyed staying there in the past because it's just convenient. There's things to do if you don't want to drive somewhere. However, I will let you know that Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg in general has taken a real beating in the last few years. Because of the increase in crowds, they haven't been able to keep up with the amenities, and that's what we've really been disappointed in, is that although the prices have skyrocketed, the hotels themselves are really worn down and they really need a time to just refurbish them and get them back up to top standards. Keep that in mind that even though you're paying top price to go these places, you're not necessarily getting top amenities. We stay at Margaritaville at the island. Because it is winter when we are going to be going, Margaritaville, although has a wonderful rooftop bar and pool, it is closed during the winter, so therefore that takes away some entertainment, especially for my son. Although there are other hotels around the area that do have indoor pools and slides, when I was looking at the cost, it was about the same as what it will be for Margaritaville, so I just went ahead and kept the same hotel. Total for the hotel for 4 nights and 5 days is $1,646.94. That roughly breaks down to about $411 per night. The next area that we're going to look at is entertaining yourself. When we go to Pigeon Forge, the biggest thing that we like to do, especially at Christmas time, is go to Dollywood. If you haven't been there, again, it's a beautiful theme park. In the last few years, the prices have climbed just like everything else, but they still offer some great shows, rides, and just beautiful light at Christmas time. To go to Dollywood, the positive thing is our son is still free because anyone 3 and under is free. It would only cost us $202 for 2 adult tickets. Since we're going to be in Pigeon Forge for about 4 days, there's going to have to be more entertainment to do to keep my son preoccupied. First day, we'll go to Dollywood. The next day, we're going to take a look and go to one of the shows that they have. One of the shows we've been wanting to go to and a lot of people recommend is the Pirate's Voyage. It is a dinner show. Food is included, but for the price of tickets, I do have to pay for my son with that. It would be $223.73. Looking at each day, needing something to do, there is a little bit of entertainment we can do around the hotel, but we probably would do one other thing just to keep my son preoccupied and enjoy the trip. So the last thing I went ahead and factored in is just doing one of the amusement things around. One of the things we haven't done yet and would love to is called Wonderworks. It's sort of like a hands-on museum. Again, the good news is my son is free for that, so it would just cost us $74 and a few cents. The last category we're going to look at when it comes to Pigeon Forge is dining. For our family, we're a breakfast and dinner type of family. So what that means is we like to splurge and have the big breakfasts and then have a smoothie or just split a sandwich or something small for lunch and then eat sort of our earlier dinner. Looking at that, I just went ahead and budgeted just a round figure about $650 for the 4 nights and 5 days. The grand total for 4 nights and 5 days with some entertainment as well as some good food going to Pigeon Forge / Gatlinburg would be $2,886.73. The next place we're going to take a look at is going to the beach. So we've gone to several places over the years. Each place going along the East Coast is about 6 hours away, so it's all about the same to us. But last year we ended up going to Outer Banks in North Carolina and we absolutely loved it. It was beautiful, crowds were fairly small, and it was just a fun experience. This is based on our Outer Banks trip. We did stay at a resort there, so we'll factor that in. The trip itself is about, like I said, 6 hours away, so factoring in transportation and gas, it cost us about $160 in gas to get there and back and drive around the island. The second category, looking at hotel. So we stayed at Sanderling Resort, which is just north of Outer Banks, and we loved it. There were 2 restaurants on site, they had activities and other things around the area. I will say the only downside of the resort was we went off season, and after Labor Day, a lot of the restaurants closed down until Memorial Day. It wasn't quite as many options as we originally hoped for, but still it was a great vacation. Looking at that resort, for 5 days and 4 nights, it would cost $1,852.28. That's just for your standard sort of king size room with a pull-out couch or double queen, it's the same price. So that breaks down to about $464 a night. The next area category is entertainment. Because it is a beach trip and my son loves the water, this resort itself had some activities to do as well as the beach. They had 2 pools, an indoor and outdoor, and just some lawn games and things like that. For my son, that was plenty of entertainment and he didn't need anything else. But I did go ahead and factor in about $50 just in case we wanted to ride some bikes or, go on paddle boards or something like that. One of the things you can do if you go to Outer Banks that I would highly recommend is go see the wild horses. At the top of Outer Banks, there's a beach that the wild horses just roam. And if you have a vehicle, like my husband, his Jeep was able to drive on the sand and you can just go explore. Or if you don't have a vehicle that is high enough or 4-wheel drive, then you can actually go on a tour and they'll take you out there to see. That's something I would highly recommend if you are going Outer Banks. The last category we'll look at is food. Again, I just went with the $650. It's just sort of that round number that I know will account for breakfast, good dinners, and a few snacks here and there. The cost to go to the beach or Outer Banks for our family, this again is for 5 days, 4 nights. It would cost about $2,712.28. The next place I went ahead and looked at, we personally have never been here, but I know a lot of people that have said that it's fun and it seems to be a little bit more budget friendly, and that's Great Wolf Lodge. So we actually have a Great Wolf Lodge about 2 hours away from us that's down in Charlotte, North Carolina. For us to get there, it's not bad. It would cost about $70 for gas, quick trip. Not too bad at all. The other thing that I saw when I went ahead and researched this is the cost. It is very friendly cost if you're looking at for a family. And the great thing is the price for the rooms includes the water park passes as well. I found that if we would stay 4 nights, 5 days there, we would spend about $1,095.63. So that's only $274 a night, which compared to these other places is a great deal. Plus, like I said, your entertainment is already part of that pass. The one downside I will say is I personally can't imagine spending 5 days at Great Wolf Lodge doing the same thing every single day. Although they do have some different entertainment like laser tag and putt-putt and some shows and things like that, to me just being stuck in essence a hotel for 5 days just isn't, I guess, my cup of tea. But it does seem like a great option if you're wanting to do a shorter trip, maybe 3 days or 3 nights. 4 nights and 5 days seems a little long. The other downside with Great Wolf Lodge is the food options. So they do have a couple of options on site, but after looking at their menu, it's pretty much kid food. So they have hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken nuggets, chicken sandwiches, pizza. They do have a buffet for both breakfast and dinner that seem to have a little bit more options. But for my family, we tend to eat more organic Mediterranean style. Eating pizza every night is just not what we would do. What we would probably end up doing is having to drive out of the lodge area to go to different restaurants for dinner, which again requires you to plan, to make reservations, to sort of know the area, which doesn't seem very relaxing to me, but it would allow us to have more options for food. Looking at entertainment, like I said, the water passes are already included in the price, but they did offer you a few other things that you can add. So I went ahead and just added a pass for my son so that he could go to the arcade. They do have a Build-A-Bear on site, laser tag, things like that. So I did go ahead and include a $55 pass for that. The last category, food, again, I tried to budget based on on what I found on their menu. They do offer a special to do the breakfast buffet. It would cost our family $144 for the 4 breakfasts. So I went ahead and included that, as well as just trying to figure out, we probably would do the buffet 2 nights and then maybe just one of the dinners or something else, or dinner elsewhere. And then for lunches, we go ahead and, you know, maybe do a hamburger or something like that. For food, we would spend about $634, bringing the grand total for Great Wolf Lodge to $1,854. If you're trying to find a more budget-friendly vacation, Great Wolf Lodge seems like a wonderful option. Again, you do have to factor in if you have kids that like various things, and, you know, adults that want to have some more adult activities. It's probably not the #1 place I would go, but again, you have to decide what's best for your family. The last place I want to go ahead and take a look at is Disney World. We are a Disney family. We love going to Disney World. We are excited when we can go multiple times a year, and that's where trying to find affordable Disney vacation is our #1 priority. Although my son and my husband and I love going to Disney, we don't necessarily love going to the parks. And I know that sounds crazy, but Disney, if you've never been, has just so many things to offer at the resorts alone that sometimes going to the park seems like you're missing out at your resort. Keep that in mind when I tell you how we go to Disney, and also how you could go and make it more affordable. Numbers are based on our trip that's planned for this upcoming December. Again, we are going for 5 days and 4 nights. Transportation, it is a longer trip for us. It's supposed to be about 10 hours, but it took us 13 hours last time we drove. So we decided we will not be driving this time. We are gonna fly. Now for us, we can fly out of Charlotte down to Orlando for less than $100 a person, including the gas to get to Charlotte, as well as parking at the airport and shuttle from Orlando's airport to Disney and back. It would cost us about $505. The next area is hotel. I'm excited to try something different this time. In the past, we've booked directly through Disney, and although I love their hotels, I've really been wanting to stay at one of their deluxe resorts. And if you have gone on Disney's website, you can see that they range from $400 to $1,000 a night. And I don't know about you, but I just can't stomach that amount to pay. This year, for the first time, we are renting DVC points. And I'm super excited. It was such an easy process. If you are interested in renting DVC points, I would highly recommend using the DVC rental store. I'll go ahead and link them down below. Not affiliated with them, but it was such an easy process, and I really enjoyed the fact that when you pay in the past with DVC rental points, you had to pay everything up front, which for most people, you know, you're putting over $1,000 to $2,000 down that you just don't have readily available. But with the DVC rental store, you only have to put 25% down and then pay the rest only 4 months out. So it gives you a little bit more time to save up money for the trip, which makes it a whole lot nicer. For the hotel, we are staying at Saratoga Springs, which, if you know DVC rentals or DVC resorts, it tends to be the cheapest of the resorts. But I chose it because they have 5 pools and 3 splash pads. For my son who loves the water, this is a great option, especially for December. Disney keeps their pools at about 82 degrees year round, so as long as it's warm enough outside, he can swim every day that we're down there. So I wanted to make sure to give him the most options for the most pools that he can swim at. So we are staying at Saratoga Springs. Through the DVC rental store, we were able to secure a studio room, which consists of a queen bed with a Murphy queen bed, and then the bathroom and your normal hotel room with a little kitchenette. We were able to secure that for $988. So that breaks down to only $247 a night, which is a steal compared to these other places we've been listing. Now, where we are saving money at a hotel, you are spending more in the entertainment. And that's what Disney World is all about. To help save money for this trip, and especially since we're going at Christmas time, we are actually planning to only go to one park. Now, I know a lot of you are probably saying, how do you go to Disney World, spend all that money, and only go to one park? But let me explain. My son is only 3 years old. Our last trip we went to, we tried to do 3 parks, 3 days in a row, and by the last day, he was completely exhausted. So my son can only really handle 2 park days in a row, especially when you're going for 5 days, which with travel, it's really only 4 available days. Going to more than 2 parks is just not worth it. It's too stressful. It's just not a good time. So for our family, we honestly like to just be a part of the Disney bubble and enjoy the resorts. If you've ever been to Disney around Christmas time, they have so much going on that each resort has a Christmas tree, they have life-size gingerbread houses, gingerbread carousels, they have activities at all the different resorts. There's just so much to do that honestly, I find it more fun just to explore the resorts than have to fight the crowds at the park. So that's what we're gonna do for December. We're gonna go to Epcot one of the days so that we could go to the Festival of the Holidays. But other than that, we're just gonna enjoy the time at the resorts. We're gonna have some great character dining options, which again, if you're trying to save money, that's a great option for your family. It's a lot cheaper than going to the park. And if you go to one of the buffets, we spent like our last trip, we went to Chef Mickey and we spent about 3 hours eating breakfast, just relaxing. The characters would come around, they would dance with my son, they would say hi, he got to get autographs, and he just loved it. That's what he talks about was the best part of the trip. If you're trying to save money but still want to enjoy Disney, I would highly recommend, if your kids are younger, to just skip 1 or 2 of the parks and just do a character dining at one of the resorts. Save money, and your kids, I can guarantee, will talk about how memorable it was. Since we're only going to one park for the entertainment, it cost about $502.68 for the 2 adults and 1 child ticket. Now, again, if you're trying to do multiple parks with 4, 5, 6 people in your family, that can add up quickly. If you're trying to go to Disney and want to save some money, again, I highly recommend spending more time at the resorts where you're still experiencing Disney, but save some of that money. Because honestly, there's just so much you can do when your kids are young. If you try to push it too much, it's just going to become a miserable trip. The last category that we'll talk about is dining. Now, I did break this down a little bit more because I know exactly what restaurants we want to go to, was able to sort of know a little bit more versus these other places that I listed. And this is including a character dining experience, which is more pricey as well. I did budget a little bit more for food this time and budgeted about $827. The grand total of going to Disney for 5 days and 4 nights is $2,822.82. So let me go ahead and show you compared to the 4 places and the totals. As you can see, Pigeon was just under $3,000. Outer Banks a little cheaper, but still $2,700. Great Wolf Lodge, great deal, but again, the entertainment or just variety is lacking, as well as the food. Came in just below $2,000. And then Disney, again, about the same as Pigeon Forge, but just under that $3,000. So when people say Disney is just way too expensive and how can you afford it, right here you see that really if you go any place you're gonna spend about the same amount of money. Now again, any of these places you can spend more money, you can spend less, you just have to sort of decide what's more important to your family. The last part of the video, I just want to go ahead and break down sort of our budget for Disney and to show you not only what our budget is, but how we afford to go to Disney. So I've seen a lot of people in their videos show you their budget, but they never really talk about how they save up the money for it. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So we are a Dave Ramsey family. If you know what that is, it means we budget monthly. We try to do, our little zero-based budget, which means figuring out where all your money goes so that at the end of the month you've spent it all, or at least you've told your money where you were going to spend it. Based on that, that's how we do our Disney trips. Once we decide what trip we're going to take and make up a good budget. By the way, if you are interested in a great budget template, I would highly recommend this budget template that I use. That's from Becca Hart. If you don't know Becca, she is a fellow YouTuber who gives great tips for Disney, especially she has a little toddler, and just tells you ways to do the DVC rentals as well as save a little bit money here and there. I'll go ahead and link her channel, but if you want this template, I'll go ahead and link that down below because I highly recommend it. It just covers everything. But back to what we were talking about. So that's what I went ahead and did. I plugged everything into the budget template and came up with the amount that we're going to spend for this trip. And again, that came out to about $2,800. Once I have that budget, what I do is just count out how many months we have until our trip. For us, I never include the month of the trip because you wouldn't really be saving money that month. So subtracting December, that leaves us about 8 months to save up money to go to Disney. Again, what I love about the DVC rental is the fact that we only had to put 25% down and then we pay the rest of the amount 4 months out. That means we don't have to pay the rest of that percent of our hotel until August. Based on we have 8 months to save up $2,800, that breaks down to each month we need to find somewhere in our budget for $352.85. If you do the math, we had to put down when we paid or reserved our DVC $247. If you look, that is way below what we have to save each month. Starting off, I already was able to pay in essence cash for our DVC rental or our hotel. That means I'm not paying anything on a credit card. Again, nothing's worse than going on vacation and when you come home, you are continuing to pay for the vacation for months after you get back, especially when you're going around Christmas time. Having to pay even more and everything, it's not something I want to do. I like being able to cash flow these vacations and budget accordingly. We went ahead and paid our 25%, and again, we don't have to pay the next 75% until August. So that means that in August we had to pay $741. Doing the math there, that means we will easily have already saved up enough money that again, we can cash flow it. We don't have to put it on the credit card, and then we'll just continue to save the money so that we'll have the money already set aside for our dining as well as our tickets and everything like that. I highly recommend using a budget when it comes to the Disney trips and then easily just break down what you need to save each month. That way when you get to the vacation, you can truly enjoy it and you don't have to worry about putting everything on a credit card. I hope this was helpful in helping you decide what would be the best vacation for your family this year. Again, as you can tell, each one is going to cost roughly for our family about $3,000, except for the Great Wolf Lodge, which again is a cheaper alternative, but for our family, I just don't think there's enough variety. But if you've gone to Great Wolf Lodge and love it, let me know so that I know should we try it or just go ahead and save our money and go to our favorite place, Disney. I hope this helps you make a decision what's the best vacation for your family. As you can see, for our family of 3, most of these places are going to cost just under $3,000, which according to recent studies, and it is for a family of 4, but the average vacation is $4,300. Based on that, we are coming in under the average, but that's still a lot of money. And I know for my family, and I'm sure for your family, you want to make sure that you're spending your money wisely. Please comment below on which place you guys would like to go with your family and why. If you like this video, please go ahead and click the like button down below. And don't forget to subscribe